recognized as, quote, interested persons following a federal court decision this month, believed to be the first of its kind in the United States. So, okay, there's a lot here. First of all, how did we get the hippos? Because you don't normally find hippos there. Well, they were smuggled into the drug lord's private zoo back in the 1980s, just 4 of them initially. In the 26 years since then, these hippos have done what hippos do, which is get it on, because now there's a herd of more than 80 animals, and they're considered the largest parasites there. They're an invasive species, apparently causing some damage, so much so that Colombia had considered different plans to cull them, to wipe out these hippos. One individual, an animal rights lawyer, filed a lawsuit back in the middle of last year seeking to prevent them being killed. And so they decided they will instead sterilize them. The United States has donated dozens of doses of the chemical currently used to sterilize animals such as horse and deer to Colombia. I know what you're thinking. It is a terrible injustice that we have sent those doses of horse sterilizer to another country before conservatives could get a chance to use it for curing God knows what. But anyway, now there's this court case recognizing some level of personhood of the hippos. We will have to see what effect that has long term on the plans to sterilize, or if there will be renewed plans to potentially cull them. There's a lot of anti-hippo sentiment there. But this is incredibly important and interesting outside of just the hippos. There have been a variety of cases in other countries recognizing animal personhood for animals like dolphins and various primates. This is really important for the future of rights of animals like pigs and things like that are incredibly complex social animals. It has potential impacts on elephants as well as whales. So this is something to look into, not just because it's a salacious cocaine hippo story. It actually matters beyond just that. Anyway, I wish that we had more time to talk about lava dogs and cocaine hippos, but we're running right up against the end of our show. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thanks once again to Senator Nina Turner for giving us some of her time and making our day. Thank you for watching, everyone. Indisputable is coming up in just a little bit. Francesca Fiorentini is gonna be joining Rashad Ritchie, so you know you're not gonna wanna miss that. So you can stay at Twitch, you can head over to youtube.com/indisputable TYT to watch that. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Yep, it's indisputable. Good to be with you. I'm your host, Rashad Richie. We got a lot on the agenda today. Joining me in the bullpen, we have Albert Eisenberg, commentator for Young Voices. Obviously, these conservative cats are against student loan debt forgiveness. We're going to get into why and have a good faith debate about it. Also, breaking down news of the day, my sister Francesca, host of the Twitchuation Room. I can say that all show. I don't have to have a one-time limit on Twitchuation. All right.
That's exactly right. That's on TYT's Twitch channel on Wednesdays. And of course, it's a sister show of the Bitchuation Room. So
see that you said it first.
I did.
Yeah. All right.
Good to be on with you, Doc.
Always good to have you. Top news story of the day. This story is about decency. Floyd Money Mayweather, obviously scared of people who may have alternative lifestyles, who may not agree with, he may not agree with their lifestyle. He's afraid of them. Here's the encounter.
You got painted nails. You can't. I'm not taking a picture with a guy with no painted nails.
Hey.
Damn, bro. Floyd's a homophobe. You guys saw that first, bro. Floyd doesn't want to take a photo of me because my nails are painted. Bro, really? I didn't mean to rush him like that.
The young fan who wanted a photo as a teenager. Let's put up a picture of Floyd Money Mayweather. Prolific boxer, yeah, very talented guy, okay? But he has said some idiotic things on the record, this being the latest. So let me break this down first. And I know many of you will say, well, that's his right. He can limit who he wants to limit, and correct, it is his right, okay? It's his freedom. His personal space. This is my freedom. It's called speech. And so anytime you do something, when you have these amazing platforms and you do something publicly like this, expect somebody to say something about it. Either they agree or maybe they disagree, okay? I don't think celebrities should treat teenagers like this because they have painted fingernails. I don't think so, all right? That's just my opinion. Here's the background. According to TMZ Sports, the undefeated boxing champion was seen on a mobile phone video clip rejecting a teenage boy's request to take a photo with him and stated that it's because the fan had his fingernails painted. How ignorant. Mayweather, along with his bodyguards, attended the Los Angeles Clippers versus Memphis Grizzlies basketball game at the Staples Center. That was on Saturday. After the contest, the teenage boy approached Mayweather to see if he could get a shot with the retired boxer. In the clip, Mayweather rejects his request as his bodyguards move in to prevent the boy from accessing him. Then you can hear Mayweather say, "You got painted nails. I don't take pictures with guys with no painted nails." Now, I want to remind you of something, okay? Because I really had an issue when Floyd Money Mayweather decided to start, without provocation, dissing Africa and Africans. Some people may forget this, but I want to bring it back to your memory. There's a quote, it was during an interview on 107.3 Jams. And he said, people say, well, he got all this money. Why is he not giving to Africa? Well, what has Africa given to us? What has Africa came and gave to my children and to my family? Things work two ways. Let me tell you what Africa gave to you, brother. Africa gave life to this entire planet, the cradle of civilization. And while you're looking at Africa to give you something, Africa has given you everything you have, everything you are, your entire being comes from the genetics of Africa, all of it. And here's the reality of having things. You have money, resources, platform. You utilize it if you're a decent person to help others. It's not only about Africa, it's about responding to need. Now, that doesn't mean you have to only respond to the needs that are in Africa, but why would you not? Why would you not? Why would you criticize a country where there is real need because somehow this country did not give you something? Let me ask you this question, Floyd Money Mayweather. You give money to Lamborghini, you give money to Bentley. What have they given you? What charity have they participated in for your daughter? You didn't ask those questions before handing over the money to those institutions? No, not at all. All right, some people would say I'm being too harsh on the homophobic Floyd Money Mayweather. I just want him to get his life together because really he has too much going for him and has too many people that support him and really that validate him in order for him to go around treating not only teenagers like this, but also the entire continent of Africa. What are your thoughts, Francesca?
No, I mean, I think you said it. I think Floyd Mayweather has a history of saying incredibly problematic things, homophobic things for sure. And again, no one said athletes have to check every single box, and be a bastion or a role model or an idol. But when you're one of the biggest boxers in the world, you might want to watch yourself a little bit more. And that instance, just like the moment that a kid comes up to him asking for a photo, you're absolutely right. He doesn't have to take the photo. Maybe he was in a hurry. Maybe he's annoyed. But instead of being like, nah, man, sorry, got to get to my next thing, or no, which is perfectly within his right, he made it about the kid wearing nail polish as some sort of symbol of a lack of masculinity or some sort of indicator of his sexuality, neither of which are true. Okay, a friend of the TYT network, Hassan Piker, always wears nail polish. I mean, I don't know if he identifies how he identifies in terms of his sexuality, but the guy exudes a lot of masculinity is all I'm saying. Like, we all know this. It has nothing to do with your sexuality, your masculinity, anything. Instead, it has a lot to do with the person who thinks that it seems to be emasculating them and their own comfort and their own masculinity and identity. It's like, what does this say about you that you're so fragile? You can't take a picture with a kid with nail polish? I don't know. Yeah. I feel like you've got some therapy to do, bro.
Yeah, it's something else happening behind the scenes, obviously, for you to be afraid to take a picture with a teenager because you have or they have painted fingernails. TMZ said witnesses did see Mayweather taking pictures with several other fans and did not turn down any other request. In a later update, the representative from Mayweather's camp said Floyd did not take the photo because he was in a rush to leave the arena after the basketball game. The rep also clarified that the teenager's accusation of Mayweather being homophobic couldn't be further from the truth. Listen, that's what reps are supposed to do. They're supposed to lie for you, okay? Floyd Mayweather told you why he would not take the picture, okay? He said it, all right? There's no ambiguity about that. Okay, imagine you are a mother, 22 years of age, newborn baby in the home, and the police come, not just the police, the marshals, and they got guns drawn. They're about to kick in your door. You see all of this on your Ring video doorbell, and they got the wrong apartment. Here it is.
Matt's supposed to be bringing a shield.
Hello?
U.S. Marshals, come to the door.
I'm putting my dog in his cage.
All right. Tell him to come out with his hands up. We know he's in there. The place is surrounded.
Nobody
out
here. Okay, hold on, I'm coming. Nina, stop. Oh my God.
We got contact. They got a ring. They know we're out here.
I'm coming.
We got a shield coming or what? Come on out. Come on out. Come on out.
No.
Tell them to come out. Shamar, U.S. Marshals, come to the door. Put your hands up.
Yep, you're good. One of the cops says, "You're good." No, she's not good. She's not good at all. As a matter of fact, she is still right now not good to this very moment, this very day. She's not good. This happened in Bradenton, Florida, last Friday morning. This is a brand new mother, a brand new child. Now think about this. What would have happened if they would have utilized their weaponry to kick in that door and start shooting? Well, one, the dog would have been killed first. Believe that. The dog would have died immediately, okay? They were at the wrong damn apartment. And they did not even offer an apology immediately, okay? Let me give you some more background. Our 22-year-old Kata Staples was home alone with her 3-month-old baby and scared for her life. Let's put up a picture. It's important for people to see. This is what happens when you don't have strong protocols and reform inside of your police agencies. This is what happens. Her life will be different forever. She will be traumatized for years to come. The Ring video doorbell shows the terrified 22-year-old coming out, barely dressed, holding her baby and crying. She says she had no idea what was happening, but after a couple of minutes, Marshals realized it was the wrong apartment and left. The Bradenton police say US Marshals were assisting them in searching for Shamar Johnson, who was the suspect of a September 11th murder. After leaving Staples' apartment, Marshals rushed over to an entryway in the same building at the Preserve on 51st and found and arrested Johnson in a different apartment. He was never there. He was never in her apartment, ever. They did come back like an hour later and said, "We just want to explain to you that we saw a black man run upstairs and we thought he came to your apartment, but he didn't go to your apartment, and it turns out wasn't the black male we were looking for." The US Marshal supervisor, this is so damn sad. The US Marshal supervisor tells ABC Action News that it all happened very quickly and Marshals were able to help catch a murder suspect who has been on the loose for weeks. Breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, okay? Here's what you don't hear. Here's the new policy that will happen because of this. Here's the new remedy. Here's what we will do moving forward. Here's our apology. Here's our statement of public concern. Here's why this happened and why it will not happen in the future. They're not held to that level of accountability, but imagine any other government agency, watershed management, fire rescue, any other government agency that has this many systemic failures in one execution. They would have to explain to the public, here's what happened and here's why it will never happen again. Here's what we have changed. They're not held to that level of accountability. Everybody will simply move on and continue as if this woman's life was not turned upside down in a moment. Francesca, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this video is horrifying, and yet is probably one of the better ring cam videos we've seen, dash cam videos we've seen from police, because usually this ends up in some innocent person dying and their family being dead and their dog dead, as you said exactly. I mean, and her reaction is 100% understandable. It is terrifying to have anyone with loaded guns outside of your apartment. Doesn't matter who they are, but here's the difference. These are US Marshals and they explained nothing to her. If that's what they were looking for, then tell her in the moment, send one dude, not a drawn gun, and say, hey, this is what's going on. We think we might have seen someone, a suspect, and can we search your apartment? Take, whatever. It's a little urgent. Do not be alarmed. You are not in danger. We are not looking for you. That's it. That's all you have to say. The common courtesy, right? And these are people who are supposed to protect on service, but instead it is no. Everyone is collateral damage until we get this one suspect who may or may not be the suspect, who may or may not be guilty. We don't know. I don't know the full background to this story. But of course, if you say the words blackmail, okay, anything, it's all hunky dory and everyone should understand, which of course is just, the embedded racism in these systems. But it's, last thing I'll say on this, we can't even get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act at all, which in and of itself, I'm looking, it doesn't even have in it taking down the number of house calls, the number of warrantless entries, right?
Yep.
That have all this militarized gear. This man is pointing, I don't know what gun that is. It's a semi-automatic, a fully automatic. Y'all can tell me, I do not know, but it does not need to be in that situation. And you don't need 6 dudes to do the job. And so again, the militarism that we spread abroad come back to haunt us, and there's no one de-escalating that. There's no one demilitarizing the police. Let's not talk about defund. Let's talk about slowly demilitarizing in these situations that do not require it.
Yeah, well said. Let me go to Senator Kristen, don't touch me, Sinema, who continues to ignore constituents. Here's the latest.
I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
I think it's
and I'm wondering,
quite interesting.
I know you've met with dozens of lobbyists. I did not touch you. I'm meeting with dozens, I know you're meeting with dozens of lobbyists.
The world doesn't really
and
want
talking with corporate donors about the package. How many times will you meet with constituents?
Well,
How many times have you met with constituents when negotiating bills? Sorry about this.
I think it's part of the course, right? Part of the course.
I want you to meet with my family, who are constituents. I can have them meet you next week.
Well,
every single year in Arizona, it's getting hotter and hotter. We're breaking records. There's either no monsoons or it's the longest season. People are suffering. Your constituents are suffering. What are you going to do about climate change? Next week in Glasgow could be the last chance. Please answer me, Senator. My family, my house, we're from Tucson. We're constituents.
Don't touch me, you commoner. It's really sad that this woman, Senator Sinema, represents people because she obviously does not like them. This is not the only incident where she has ignored individuals who once supported her. These people were given a promise. Vote for me, and this is what I will do for you. You see, the nature of politics is transactional. We would love it to be transformational, but it is not designed to be that way. The nature of politics is transactional. I give you a vote and you transact my agenda. That's how this works. So understandably, people are upset when they gave you the vote and you reneged on the, Okay.
Yeah, and like, look, all you have to do in that case, you're a senator, all right? You're an elected official. You just stop. You take 30 seconds out of your busy walk to wherever you're going, whatever, wine cave you're flying to, whatever big money donor fundraiser you're going to right now, and you say, thank you for your concerns. I hear you, and I will take that into consideration by. That is the bare minimum.
Right. The bare minimum.
The nothing, like that's all that's essentially the job. I mean, that's what they tell you day one. Hey, maybe just listen to your constituents, or if you don't want to listen, pretend to listen. I remember when Hillary Clinton was confronted by Black Lives Matter activists. Did she keep walking? No. Was she the best on policing reform? Absolutely not. But what did she do? She stopped, she listened. She let them film her, and she engaged in a discussion. I thought she was terrible in that debate, but she sat there and listened. It's common courtesy.
You make a great point. And somebody once told me the greatest form of disrespect is not argumentation. It's actually ignoring the other person. That's the greatest form of disrespect. And it's amazing to me that people will still defend Senator Sinema and say, oh my God, people are harassing her at the airport. She created this atmosphere. She did. This is her doing. She created the atmosphere, and then she makes it absolutely worse by refusing to treat them like human freaking beings. These are people. And then to add injury to insult, these are people that once supported her because they believed in her. Now, in order to get a meeting with her, you have to pay $500, $2,500, whatever the price tag is. But she's getting plenty of money from Big Pharma, like another cool $500,000 floating her way. All of this continues to happen while she was elected to do something contrary to what she's doing now. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process. That is America.
On top of it, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award.
Best web host.
We passed 1 billion views.
Voice Award winner, News and Information Channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse?
Yeah!
For those of you watching on live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
Haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. And it was definitely the one against Floyd.
I told you we were coming.
When you talk about it, when it becomes a problem, our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they are being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy. Tick-tock. I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency. Tick-tock. And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country. November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Back to back that I like.
Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
Welcome back. All right, we got a lot of viewer comments. Before I get to them, I want to remind the people of some stuff. Okay, this is big. All right, big announcement. TYT is looking for new video content creators for Rebel HQ. All right, we are looking for people to write, produce, host, edit short form editorial videos on breaking news and politics with a progressive point of view. If you're interested, real simple. TYT.com/careers. TYT.com/careers. And do yourself a favor, make sure you look at some of those Rebel HQ videos before submission so you'll know exactly how they get down. All right. Okay, let me read some of the comments. Twitter member Chipper Nightshade. Good thing I'm not a boxing fan, because if he met me and knew I painted my nails, and not just when I'm performing drag, he'd probably run for the hills. Yeah, what is he? I mean, what is he afraid of? Is he afraid it would rub off on him? I don't understand this. And then it's a teenager, it's a kid that actually looks up to you. It's ridiculous to me.
How nasty do you think Mayweather's toes are, though? Like, this is a dude who doesn't get a pedicure, doesn't, because he thinks it's, somehow means he's gay or whatever. He must have some gnarly ones. Anyway, I digress.
That's actually a good point. Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon. Does Mayweather refuse the money from ticket holders who wear nail polish? Boom. Yep. Greyhound Dragon. How do you get the wrong apartment? Seriously, all they saw, a black male, doesn't matter to them if it's the right person or not. About Senator Sinema, need more too strong. Sinema spent years pretending to be a progressive. The least she could do is pretend to care what her constituents say for 2 minutes. I mean, she is really the embodiment of sellout. You just gotta look at the contrast from what she campaigned on and who she is today. YouTube super chat. Xena, the Egyptian dragon. LOL, is 2021. Even straight guys wear black nail polish. Alternative fashion has taken off. That is correct. Luann, was he afraid the nail polish would rub off on him? What a jerk. Yeah, non-human humanist. He could have just no in a polite way and kept his ignorance to himself. Could have, he decided not to. And then put his PR people to lie. All right, U.S. Marshal, Whiskey Sour 22 says, it's easy to see why so many people hate the police. All right, you think she's loving the police? No, she's not loving the police, even if she used to, not anymore. Cash Dragon, failure of good intelligence. The wrong address is often the excuse. Emil Coleman, with no apologies? Do people have to sue them to apologize for their mistakes? Yep, that's what it seems like. All right, A&A Affinity LLC. Difference is she is white and they didn't shoot. If she was black, would she have still been alive?
Yes.
Yep. Sinema, back to Sinema, Knuckle Dragon. These jerks need to be confronted and questioned everywhere, every time. Dennis Mason, she's not going to cave until she resigns, which will be before November of next year. Yeah, she's getting it in, right? Okay, Bernie, the Kiwi Dragon, keep pressing Sinema. She's starting to crack. Keep badgering her until she finally blows a fuse. Forbesilla, all they gotta do is walk up to Sinema and say, I'm gonna donate the max, but you have to hold a town hall with your constituents. That's how she'll hear you. Twitch, Iron Man 42, Mayweather is a runner and barely a boxer. See, that's my sentiment. I'm not really a Floyd Money Mayweather fan because the cat jumps around the damn ring too much and runs away from his opponent. All right, I know that strategy and I understand that. I like boxing where you go in and you slug it out. Okay, you get in the middle of the damn ring and you figure it out. Okay, that's not Mayweather, so I've never been a personal Mayweather fan because you're right, he's a runner in the ring and obviously in real life. Okay, we got more. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday?
I feel free. Back off.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
That's when you discriminate. We're in a restaurant up.
You just leave.
I see you. Just leave, sir. You go. You want to do something? I don't want to do anything. Don't get my seat. Don't get my seat. I don't want to do anything. Get out, bro. That's your fault. You got to fault it.
In defense of others. That's what it's called. Okay, completely legal. I don't usually do this, but producers, I want to see that one more time. Not for any news value, just for myself. Can y'all play it again? I appreciate it. Okay, all right, I think that's good.
That is that's cartoonish.
It really was. Now,
whoa.
He added his own cherry on top of this, right? Because at the end, this particular male, Karen, after physically assaulting two people, okay? A woman and then an older gentleman. Mm-hmm. Somebody got up from their meal, knocked his ass out. Now, when he gets up, he says, that's assault. That's assault. No, sir. That's called in the defense of others. That's what it's called. It's 100% legal. You assaulted individuals in that store. And here's what I hope, because that is an anti-Karen who knocked you out, okay? The rise of anti-Karens continue. I hope they gave the man a free meal. The guy who knocked him out deserves a free lunch wherever he was at, okay? Once again, we see a person who is arguing and debating about what? A mask. This was about a mask. The enforcement of the mask inside of a restaurant. It is settled. They have the ability, the right, the authority to say no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. Mm-hmm. They can say that. Francesca, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, like the rules at a restaurant nowadays are also kind of like not that big of a deal when it comes to masks. You walk in with a mask, but when you're sitting down and eating,
get to take it off.
You get to take it off. Notice how a lot of the other patrons in that restaurant were not wearing masks because they are eating. Like it's, and whether or not the science supports that, I don't know. I'm more of I still eat outdoors kind of person, and I get very, very nervous if I'm eating indoors. But it's like it is not even that serious, dude. And so that's number one. Number two, I keep on thinking of restaurant workers who obviously are slow to return to jobs because they are tired of getting exploited for, minimum wage with tips on top, which never is enough. Right. And then on top of that, they have to deal with this, and it should not be their job. So you see 2 or 3 workers who are trying to talk this man down, and clearly they don't have security, right? And like it's another additional cost. Who's providing that cost for security, for someone to take this man who is disturbing everyone, who is a threat, take him out? And so, yeah, kudos to the guy who had a running start punch. I'm sorry, man, you tangle with everyone like that, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's
what's gonna happen, sir.
I mean, and I hope he realizes now that it would have been simpler simply to put on a mask. Now, I mean, his glasses got knocked off. He didn't even get the courtesy of taking off his glasses. I mean, I'm a guy with glasses. That's a big deal. His glasses are broken now. So is his face. All right, I don't condone violence. I have to say that because I'm supposed to say it, okay? But I do condone in the defense of others, which is what happened there. Okay, I got something for you. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. Then get away. Leave. You have the right to take my picture. You don't come up in my face again. This woman is a psycho and she's threatening to punch you. Go. I never said I'd punch you. Get away from me. She's very aggressive to me. Quit following me. I'm not following you. I'm going that way. Then go. I don't have to any more than you do. Stay the away from me. I saw you over there following me. Stay the away from me. You're paranoid. I'm not following you. Yes, you were. I came from there and I'm going that way. Then go. Why are you standing here? Why you rip up my lip? I think you're psychotic, not me. So get away from me then. Psychotic means shouting and violating the irrational manner. That's bullying. I'm going that way. She happened to talk to a homeless man about anti-police. I happen to be pro-police. Who said anti-police? I said about an investigation. Get right. Because I hate you and I'm the standard to you. Hating the saying anti-immigrant. I'm allowed to because you're being against my police. Support my police. Oh, they're your police. They're not my police? I'm the Department of Defense. Exactly. I'm the federal government. They are my police. I'm the Department of Defense. The federal government, under the behest of the Department of Justice, is doing that investigation. That's not me. You don't understand the branches and the departments of the executive government well enough to understand the difference.
My point is this.
Stupid.
What? Yeah, okay, we're stupid.
You're a green card.
I'm not a green card. What are you talking about?
Blue card?
Citizen.
Yeah, there are blue cards and there are green cards. They're both citizens. You don't understand the way our government works. You're uneducated.
Never had a green card.
That's your social security card. It happens to be green.
Green card is not what a social security card refers to.
I work for the government and you're uneducated. I'm informing you.
You are psycho. Get away from me.
You have a green.
I'm gonna walk this way,
and I'm not gonna follow.
Great. Have a good day.
Oh, you bitch!
What?
Yeah, the Karen spit on her. All right, and listen, that Karen had a plan because while the spit was in midair, she had already turned around to run away. That was 100% organized. Okay, so let me break this down because another tragedy happened after this. Yes, this Karen is racist. Yes, this Karen is being bigoted. Yes, this Karen is enacting or engaging in Karenicity. But here's something else that happened because what you saw was the person, now you're about to see the system. What you saw was the individual, now you are about to see the systemic. The Twitter thread has an update. After the video ends, this is according to the poster. After the video ends, she ran, she being the Karen, she ran and took shelter in the Hennepin Lake liquor store. She was screaming that I had attacked her. See, this is why we highlight Karens, because Karens are dangerous. Now, this Karen believes that the police will believe her over this other individual. I wonder why she believes that. It gets deeper. I confirmed that she and the staff there had called the police. I figured I'd wait to speak with them because I didn't want 12 following me around either. I get the logic. I get the logic. Somebody has called the police on you. They're saying that you attacked them, and then all of a sudden you leave, and now you got 12 behind you. You got cops pulling you over with guns blazing. Okay, so I get it. I understand the logic here, ma'am, 100%. Okay, it gets deeper. Squad 524 arrived. All right, Squad 524 arrived with officers Wasaki and Sergeant Watry. I informed Wasaki of what happened and that I had a recording. That's what the victim says. He acknowledged none of this, took my information and asked, who was I canvassing for? I stated communities united against police brutality. I'm going somewhere with this. She was canvassing for communities united against police brutality, which is what caused the interaction in the first place. So she tells the cops, I'm here because of bad cops. Bad cops in the world, I want there to be less bad cops. Good for you. We looked at each other dead in the eyes for a good 3 seconds, not gonna lie, and it was hella awkward. He said that she was mentally ill, to which I replied, obviously. He said I could follow up later and see if a prosecutor would take this or something. I reiterated that she had spit on me during a pandemic, to which the officer responded, yeah, she attacked and punched someone the other day. At this point, my mind was blown, not really, by their lack of action or concern, and told them I'm going to continue working and she was not to come around me. He was silent, so I asked what they were going to do. He stated that they would escort her home. You know, Francesca, what are your thoughts?
I'm astounded and yet completely unsurprised by that. When it's white people who are aggressing against others, people with privilege, people with money, they're having a bad day. They're mentally ill. They can continue to be a threat to the community. They get an escort home. This is tale as old as time. I know, I've heard of people getting escorted by the police when they were drunk driving, escorted by the police back to their homes. That's how good white people and wealthy people in this country have it. It's just, and so this does not surprise me at all. Meanwhile, all the stories of a person of color who is having a mental breakdown and gets killed on sight by police. How many times they do not actually know how to properly de-escalate a situation. And just the last thing I'll say, I know we gotta go, but I mean, hats off to this organizer. And I knew from the moment that, from the way she speaks to her in her video, that this is someone who knows her rights, who's super strong, who is ready with the talking points to come back at this Karen to say, what do you mean my police? Oh, so you mean they don't actually protect and serve people like me, they protect and serve people like you. And lo and behold, they do. So hats off to her and her work and communities against police brutality.
Yeah, and the way this Karen sprinted, she knew exactly what she did was criminal. Okay, so you can miss me with she didn't know what she was doing. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
I want you to take on the spirit of one of my sheroes, Harriet Tubman, who said these words: if you hear the dogs barking, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after you, keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Is it right or wrong that somebody has a living wage? Is it right or wrong to have paid family medical leave? Is it right or wrong to cancel student debt? Is it right or wrong to make sure that no matter who you love, how you identify, that you get the opportunity to live a good life too? This boils down to right or wrong. It's just that simple.
It's about saying to people who work for you, this will not be tolerated on horseback, on bicycle, on tricycle. You will not treat people like this. They are human beings.
Because with these hands, we will rise.
Nina Turner steps into the direct fire sometimes in the name of the people.
And is that we have become numb to some of the very real challenges in this country.
They don't care. I want to say something else, but I know we're going to keep it PG. They just don't care.
You get to keep your doctor. Don't let them scare you about that, because it's not government taking over the service. Dr. Dooley, can I get an amen? Okay, we got a doctor in the house. If you want clean water, clean air, clean food, keep going. If you want a better country, a better world for yourselves and future generations, you must. And if you know that we are in this fight together, you must.
Did you know that more than 20% of the world's oxygen comes from the Amazon? Why? Because of trees. I know what you're thinking. Of course! So what do we want to do? We want to plant more trees so we can save the climate. It's quite literal. So that's what leads to our new partner, Plant Your Change. Love it. It's so easy. What they do is you take the credit or debit cards you already have and you plug it into the system. And if you so choose, you get to round up every purchase to the nearest dollar and they plant a tree for you, okay? Now you could also choose if you wanna do it on only certain kinds of purchases or only so often, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But literally every cent makes a difference here. It's Plant Your Change. And if you wanna know more information, just go to tyt.com/trees. Let's go save the planet together.
No, top. No. No. No.
Today, a terrible day for the internet, a terrible day for America. The internet as we know it is not going to exist anymore.
A real dark day for information, and yet another way that they're bleeding out the democracy.
We're now going to have these gatekeepers of information deciding what we can and can't see, and that's what scares me the most.
Whether you're conservative or progressive or anywhere in the middle, this is the one thing we should all agree to. Protect the internet, because the establishment is coming for it. Don't let them destroy the internet.
All right, welcome back. Let me read some of these amazing comments. Running a little short on time, so I can't read all of them, but I can read some. TYT member, next TYT reporter says, the officer was just thinking she's white, she just needs to cool down. Yep. YouTube super chat, Jim Garcia says, Karen down. And this is about the food Karen that got knocked out. The Truth Dragon NJ09, I've been watching this all day. Yep. Earthling says power tripping means never having to say I'm sorry. Yeah. Chaplain Fred, I do not support violence, but he had it coming for being such disrespectful. Yeah, I agree. And it wasn't violence, it was in the defense of others. Okay? Perfectly legal. All right. Let me take you to a guy named Mark Burns. Mark Burns is a preacher. Mark Burns would like a guy named Greg Locke to run for office. Mark Burns, a Trump preacher, is running for Congress in South Carolina. This is what he said about Greg Locke, another Trump-supporting Christian evangelical preacher. Here it is.
We got to recruit Greg Locke to run for federal office. I don't know. We need him in office. I can't hear nobody. Really want to see life change, the gospel of Jesus just can't stay in the house of God. We need politicians who would take the glory of God that's in the temple of God and take it to the halls of Congress, to the hall. Y'all not talking back to me. Because we need demon killing machines. I don't know, maybe he'll run for governor. I don't know, maybe Tennessee needs a governor.
Okay, so he went to Tennessee to preach. He's running for Congress in South Carolina. They support Trump. I want to remind you, they support Trump, talking all this God talk, but they support Trump. It should really be a hard stop there. Now, this same preacher wants Greg Locke to run for office. And here's what he said during an interview about his military service. Here it is.
You also claimed that you served 6 years in the Army Reserves. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we called the Army and they said that you had no active Army or Army Reserve service.
No, I wasn't part of the South Carolina National Guard.
Okay, I just asked you about Army Reserves. That was my question. You in this bio claimed 6 years in the Army Reserves.
It is reserves. It is the Army of South Carolina National Guard is reserves.
In a statement to CNN, the U.S. Army says Burns served in the South Carolina National Guard from 2001 to 2005, was discharged in 2008. He has no active Army or Army Reserve service time.
So that guy wants this guy to run for office. Here's Greg Locke.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas. Facebook just makes people think I'm smart. I graduated from high school almost 2 years late with an 8th grade bonehead math degree. I failed pre-algebra 2 years in a row. I've never had business math, consumer math. I never even made it past pre-algebra. Never had real algebra. I hate math. Somebody say amen. Yes, you're like me. I get nervous when the Holy Spirit wants me to preach out of the book of Numbers. I hate math. It's nonsense.
The only true thing that was said during this segment between those two guys is it's nonsense. Complete and utter nonsense. One guy lies about military service, and the right, the Christian conservatives, the patriots, the pro-military, they don't blast them. The other guy tells you he's not qualified. He's dumber than a bag of rocks. I don't even know why he's being considered. Francesca?
No, I mean, look, it's Halloween's about to be upon us, and I read this stat that like 53% of Trump voters believe in demons, like actual demons, and I feel like that's all you need to know. And obviously, if you have been to a Trump rally, you've seen a demon in the flesh, but it's more than that. Like folks are possessed, and they really do think their brand of Christianity is like demons walk among us and they are anyone who is of the LGBTQ community. Like that's the level of weirdness that they have. And again, like I think I've seen Burns like touching Trump's shoulder as Trump's like trying to pray. His little pray face is like what other people's like duck faces, like praying, thinking holy thoughts, like that kind of thing. Wash away my sins. And it is so sad, obviously, that all these priests run cover. And actually, I think a lot of churches right now are having a hard time because they are like, they have a Trump base, but they're trying to like move on, because but then they've got a base that thinks Trump is the Messiah, so it's tough.
Yeah, all right. There's a white supremacist. Let's put his picture up, okay? Alleged white supremacist. He kills a man because the man had the audacity to turn around in his driveway. Have you ever been lost inside of a neighborhood and you use somebody's driveway, you roll in, you back out, and you keep it moving, you turn around, okay? That happened, and Mr. Terry Dwayne Turner, decided to kill an African immigrant who did that, all right? Then he lied to the police. So let me give you the background to this alleged white supremacist. Terry Dwayne Turner, who lied to the police about the shooting, opened fire when Adil Dagohi pulled into his driveway to turn his car around. Let's put up the picture of the white supremacist again. I want to make him famous. Now, I want to put up the picture of the victim here, Mr. Adil, okay? This young brother simply turned around. He was lost. He turned around, and this alleged white supremacist came out and killed him. And then lied to the police. Do you think the police arrested the white supremacist? Put up his picture again. Do you think the police arrested him? Nope. Case closed. Upstanding white male, likely as a Trump supporter, shoots a black guy dead in your driveway. Oh, no problem here. You get to go home, even though he lied to the police. Let me give you more background. This was in Martindale, Texas. A white man shot and killed an African immigrant who had done nothing more to deserve his fate than what motorists do commonly every single day when there's not a more convenient way to make a U-turn. But this shooter wasn't arrested until nearly 2 weeks after the killing. And instead of having a mob of police officers kick in his door, he was allowed to turn himself in and was released on bail that same day. Okay? Turner initially told the police that the person he killed pulled out a gun on him, but the police found no gun. And even though they found no gun, they did not arrest him there. So why, pray tell, did it take until October 24th for an arrest warrant for Turner to be issued? And why, when the authorities had his address, he was allowed to turn himself in the next day instead of cops coming to his home to arrest him? Bona fide murderer, bona fide killer, okay? Allowed to turn himself in and stay home, even though they knew he lied about what happened. Thoughts?
No, I mean, frightening, absolutely frightening. I've been in that exact same situation recently. I was in a place I didn't know. I was looking at the GPS, pulled into a driveway. A dude comes out real mad and is like, "What, are you lost?" And I was like deathly afraid. Now, I am not an immigrant. I am not African American. This is the reason, like in the year 2021, it still feels like the Green Book is applicable because there are certain areas and neighborhoods that people of color, that Muslims, that immigrants do not feel safe in.
That's right.
Period. And that's ridiculous. And then you see the way law enforcement treats murderers like this man, and you understand why.
Let me take you to this really ridiculous individual who decided to go inside of a store. And here's the video. Here it is.
They're gonna call the cops. Oh, I hope they do. Hey, do you guys support the satanic pride propaganda?
Yeah, both.
You support it?
Satan and pride.
You support Satan?
Mm-hmm.
What's God gonna think of that?
I don't believe in God.
Wow. So you think?
Did you need help with something?
You support the propaganda that's targeting the kids?
There's nothing targeting kids.
It's all over kids' TV shows. It's all over. They're targeting the kids.
Kids can choose to wear whatever they want.
Do you support the sexualization of kids through pride propaganda by corporate?
Is there something that we can help you with?
I'm just asking people questions. What about you, sir? Do you support
I'm not
this?
answering any questions, but if you're here to cause any disturbance in the store,
I'm just asking questions. Do you work for the Target?
Disrupting.
Do you work for Target?
I do actually.
Where's your name tag?
I am the undercover loss prevention.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm just asking questions. So do you support this satanic propaganda?
I'm not
like
answering your questions.
Ignore him. Ignore him. Yeah.
Do you support it or no?
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
Asking questions.
Are you gonna purchase that or not?
Hey, sir, do you support this propaganda?
I need you to stop.
Huh?
I need you to stop. Okay? Are you gonna purchase the shirt, your little propaganda shirt?
He ends up throwing the shirt on the ground, stepping on it, continuing to harass customers. Here's what I don't understand. I don't understand this. You don't have to agree with everything in this world, in this life. You don't have to agree with it. But just understand that because you don't agree with it, doesn't mean that someone else has to do it your way, okay? This is supposed to be the land of freedom. Act like it. Francesca, we got a few seconds.
Yes,
What do you thought?
I mean, stop conflating the LGBTQ community with, over sexualization. That is old propaganda from will not die. He's the actual demon just stalking everyone there. It's disgusting. We all understand that. And I love that the Target worker who's like, yeah, I do believe in the devil. What are you gonna do about it? I love it. Trolling him.
That was so funny because he didn't expect that when he said you support the devil. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay mad.
Oh, yeah. And also, listen, Target, damn it. I know he's probably a good guy, but I need y'all to get some more aggressive loss prevention people. Okay, that was the nicest damn loss prevention officer I've ever seen. Loss prevention, they think they are the FBI when you walk into one of these stores, okay? All right, I need a little more aggression with your loss prevention people. Francesca, tell people how they can check you out.
Follow me at Franny Fio, listen to the Bituation Room podcast and the Twitchuation Room, twitch.tv/TYT tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Always a pleasure having you on Indisputable. Thank you. All right, we got more on the other side. Stick and stay.
So a lot of progressive office holders are doing something fun. I like fun. They're doing the last 2 years in 2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna try it here. First, I wanna let you guys know about the years before that. Hey, remember we started the Just Democrats here on the Young Turks. It was officially launched on our air, basically by you guys. And then we featured AOC, we featured Cori Bush, and Ro Khanna became the first ever Just Democrat incumbent, all on the Young Turks. Now, the last 2 years have been a spectacular follow-up to that. So let's put the 2 minutes on the clock and do this. Young Turks got to start back in 2002, and I think we've been an important part of the progressive movement ever since. What we mainly do is amplify the progressive voice and candidates out there, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Right now, we're currently #1 most engaged news politics network online, beating CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC, all of them. We're #1 in total minutes watched. That means not only the number of people watching, but how long they watch. We just crossed 20 million followers and 500 million monthly views. Now, why? That's because actually the country's progressive. It's 2/3 progressive. And you guys have allowed us to be your voice, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So what did we do with that voice? Well, let's look at 2019. We went all over the country talking to you guys and the candidates. So we were in Miami, we were in Detroit, we were in Houston, and we were in Iowa. In fact, we were all over Iowa. You guys were all over Iowa, and all of the candidates saw you guys. We had wonderful people speaking, like the one and only Nina Turner at our rallies. Bernie Sanders stopped by, Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren. We interviewed almost everyone on the campaign trail, with the exception of Biden and Buttigieg. And we held them accountable. We even did a progressive economic pledge, and so many wonderful people signed on to that. Bernie Sanders, Warren, Marianne Williamson, AOC, the entire squad, Justice Democrats, and so many others. Now, on top of all that, we started a show called The Conversation, where we featured so many progressive thinkers, writers, and candidates. And one of the candidates we featured in 2019 was Jamal Bowman. Here comes Jamal Bowman. Then we had an amazing 2020. We hired a climate reporter. Damage Report passed 500,000 subscribers. Young Turks passed 5 million subscribers. We're getting the message out to more and more people. Bernie Sanders comes on in the heat of the primary. He comes on after the election to say what we're going to do for the future. And then Marie Newman wins. Jamal Bowman wins. Cori Bush wins. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any better, here comes Nina Turner. Hello, somebody. And she's running for Congress, and she comes on the Young Turks first. On election week, we had nearly 2 million hours of viewing. We're #1 destination for progressives. You made all that happen. This is amazing, and thank you for those 2 years. What, I went past 2 minutes? Of course!
Viewers had asked for an interview with the TYT Lizard. Mr. Lizard. Oh, you changed colors today. Nice. I don't even know how you feel about us. Do you even like us?
Well, you guys made me this awesome house, so I'm kind of in your debt. I was found outside on the street, and you gave me a home. Granted, it was a really crappy home for a while, but then through the power of fundraising, I became a person who has a multi-level Trump-style mansion.
You do. By the way, you never looked better, man. Normally, you're just green or just brown, but today you're in mid-lizard, right?
I'm not very smart. I'm a lizard, so I don't know how the science works. I guess this is just my mood. It's not every day that thresholds like this are broken. I'm just so excited. I can't contain my pigmentation.
And now you're showing it off.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never seen the lizard like this before.
All right, welcome back. Let me read some of these amazing comments and also remind you of the conversation. Yep, the conversation today live 5:30 Eastern time and 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. tyt.com/live. That is before the Young Turks. Make sure you tune in for that. And also a big announcement: TYT is looking for new video content creators for Rebel HQ. Real simple. You can apply, but I encourage you to look at the Rebel HQ videos first. But you can apply at tyt.com/careers. They're looking for people to write, produce, host, and edit short form editorial videos on breaking news and politics from a progressive point of view. tyt.com/careers. All right. Let me read some of the comments. Next TYT reporter says, the officer was just thinking, she's white, she needs to, all right, we already got that one. Okay. Ocam's taser says, demon killing machines. Will Lincoln Vampire Hunter finally be making an appearance in 2024? All right, Food Karen. All right, we got through those. Okay. Blue Lizard Gut says, I'm pretty sure they were talking about shooting when the door opened while she was putting away the dog, like planning your murder in advance. Cool. Yeah, very sad. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the bullpen. In the bullpen today, we have back Albert Eisenberg, commentator, Young Voices. We're gonna chop it up about student loan debt forgiveness in America. Albert, good day. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thanks, Dr. Ritchie. Appreciate you having me back.
I appreciate you being on the show again. I don't want to presume what you know, believe about the impact of student loan debt forgiveness or if it should even be a thing. So I want you to give us your sentiment.
Well, my sentiment is I have a unique experience having personally taken out a ton of loans and been graduated from Georgetown College with more student loans than anybody else I knew. My family qualified for financial aid, but we didn't quite get over the hump to get the significant amount. So I actually graduated from undergrad with 6 figures of student debt, which is pretty intense debt burden, much higher than the national average. But to me, it was worth it because I got an education. I learned about the liberal arts, how to think, how to write, how to talk, and I learned some about business. I don't think that's necessarily true for everybody, but having worked very, very hard and harder than a lot of my peers, knowing that I was taking out so much debt, that actually created a situation where I valued my degree, I think, a lot more than a lot of what I'd call the rich kids who came out of the same program that I did. And I think creating a situation where everything is quote unquote free doesn't actually create value and would probably degrade the education system.
So let's talk about that because I've heard this argument. It's a fascinating argument to me. And if you bother to read it, I actually have a research paper that talks about the cause and effect reality of adult learners, specifically Black adult learners, and the prohibitive cost of education. So there's one school of thought that says education is too expensive, okay? And then the other school of thought says, well, if you make it cheaper, I'm talking about price tag, not quality, you then start to lessen the quality of the curriculum, or you decrease the skin in the game from the student. So let me bring your attention to something that's already a reality. We don't have to look at a research study. We don't have to assume what may happen in the future. And it's called WorkSource or workforce development. Are you familiar with that program?
Not necessarily a federal program, but I understand the concept of workforce development.
Yep, so workforce development is a federal program that basically gives money to local, state governments, and sometimes city governments that have a particular population threshold in order to train the residents for free, okay? And they train them on technology and technical trades so that they can get this education at no cost, but they can still receive quality education. Well, they started that program years ago, brother. That program is one of the absolute best programs to get someone out of generational poverty because it teaches them how to become a welder. It teaches them how to become an AC repair guy. It teaches them how to work and become a mechanic as it relates to cars, vehicles, etc. So this program is free for the student, no cost. And there are a few of the programs that have a very minimal cost. You know what has not been compromised? The product, the students who graduate from those programs. They are just as competitive, if not more so, than those who engaged in the trade school and had to pay for it. So you have an actual real life scenario that happens every single day in America through that one program that shows just because it's free to the student does not mean it degrades the quality of education produced in that institution. So how are we still making the argument, brother, that if school is less expensive, that it equates to a downgrade of quality education?
Well, that's a really interesting point and interesting argument. And I think you'll find a lot of people on the right who wish to support the working class like I do, and people on the left can find agreement that we need to invest a lot more in the trades. I mean, good luck getting a plumber or a dishwasher installed right now because we have a labor shortage. Meanwhile, somebody can come out of a trade school and make $90,000, $110,000 a year. And this is a hand up out of poverty. People can support themselves. So I'm all for supporting the trades. What I'm not necessarily for is subsidizing degrees that don't necessarily, I think we have enough English majors out there. And that's coming from an English major. I paid for mine and I worked hard to get it. I think there's a big difference between offering somebody a once in a lifetime chance out of poverty and the grit and the toughness somebody like that would enter into a program with, knowing that this is their chance up, versus just subsidizing an upper middle class kid who graduated with a bunch of student loans and now can't make up the payments because he got a women's and gender degree and there's just not enough need for that in the marketplace.
Well, I would rebut this, that there's actually a shortage of English teachers, so the English degree can get you some money right now. The issue that I think we may find some synergy on is the reality that education, college education in particular, costs too much damn money. And I'm a college professor. And as a professor, I refuse as a principal to teach at colleges where the tuition is unaffordable. I refuse to teach at them. I have lectured at a few as a one-stop lecture, but I refuse to be a professor at that particular institution, okay? And that's because I want to make sure that students have access to quality education without having to break the bank or get loans that cripple them. So I think we agree on that, am I right?
Yes, sir. I think the cost of higher education is far too expensive. And if you look at how it's outpaced the cost of other goods, it is due to the growth of the administrative bureaucracy in higher education. And in some ways, people would argue that it's because we've subsidized and scattered the cost to the taxpayer through all of these incentives for people to join and get a degree. And one other thing, which I think you'll agree with, is that we need to sort of revalorize manual work, trade work, such that people don't necessarily look down their nose on being a plumber or a welder or frankly a sanitation worker.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I have a great partnership with a technical school here in Atlanta. It's actually a high school that does technical training in the 11th and 12th grade. So by the time the student graduates, they actually are certified as a plumber or certified to work in AC repair or a few other things, right? So that's great. They can always fall back on that. That's a skill in America. You can fall back on a skill any day of the week, right? Good stuff. You don't necessarily have to go to a traditional college. Many people would not, and that's absolutely fine. Here's the issue I have in this debate primarily. When we start talking about let's eliminate student loan debt, I think that's a good sentiment, and here's why. You and I agree that it's out of control as far as the cost. You and I agree that it's out of control partly because of the governmental bureaucracies that are involved, and also the accrediting agencies where you have to pay into these agencies to support their evaluation matrix, which is required by the Department of Education, and you have to keep that going every cycle. That is a real cost to education, okay? So you have all of these variables. The cost continues to increase, not decrease generally. So you agree that the federal government is at least partly to blame for the out of control cost to go to college, right?
Yes, I would agree with that. And I would say, the growth of the culture that says every single person needs to go to college and get a degree, and anything less than that is not a successful life, is also to blame for that.
Yeah, there's this culture dynamic, and I'm with you on that. Now, generally speaking, statistically, if you have some college or a college degree, you end up earning more income over the duration of your life. That's not debated science at all. That's not debated statistical science whatsoever. So having a college degree is better than not, is my point. Now, when you have a college degree, but you have crippling debt and you can't buy a house, that's problematic, right? So let's go to this. Let's go to this point. You agree that the government is partly to blame here, and the cultural dynamic is partly to blame. Well, if the government is partly to blame, that means that they need to submit at least partial remedy if they have partial blame, right?
It's an interesting line of thinking. Why don't you continue with it?
It's a logical line of thinking, brother. Come on with me, man. Be open to this idea. You admit the government is partly to blame for the out of control cost of college education. That means at least, just come with me a little bit, they should be partly responsible to get it under control.
Yes, I just don't think the way to control costs is by deciding at the tail end that everything's free. I think the way to control costs is by not funneling people who don't need to go to college into college, because that increases the demand on degrees when they don't need to be getting degrees. Improving K through 12 education so people can graduate and earn a decent living for themselves from America's public schools, and probably reducing state, bureaucracies in state-run education systems, improving educational outcomes rather than funneling more people to college and then on the tail end saying your degree was free, which means all the taxpayers are paying it. And as a final point, as you mentioned, these people who hold college degrees are out earning their peers by over $1 million over the course of their lifetime. This is a subsidy for the wealthy. And whether it's Elizabeth Warren's plans or Bernie Sanders' plans or Joe Biden's plans, all of these end up going to the top quintile, the top 2 quintiles, and it's subsidized for the rest of us.
Yeah, so I don't like the plans that allow for anyone to apply for the student loan debt forgiveness. And there are some progressives who have presented that plan. I disagree with those plans. I agree with the plan that actually looks at your wages, your income, what you already make, make that as a prerequisite. So that's my contention. Number 2, let me give you the numbers, brother, because right now you have many who would benefit from a student loan debt forgiveness program. And the government, as you have already said on this show, is partly responsible for the out of control debt that exists. So let me give you some stats. People of color would benefit the most. And let me tell you why. Do you know what the percentage is for people of color who have student loan debt right now? You know what the percentage is? I want you to take a guess.
Grads?
College grad or some college. They just 70%. Have debt. It's 85. 85% of people of color who go to college come out with significant college debt. You know why? Because we're starting at zero sum as far as money that we can put into the system of education. So we have to usually depend on these systems, these loan systems, more so than our white counterparts. So we come out of college, or we get some college, even if we get a training skill, we have paid by way of loans, typically 85% according to the data, and we would greatly benefit. Now, you already know, you've already said, yes, this is partly because of the federal government. Well, am I wrong for looking to the federal government to provide some level of remedy, because it still benefits the government at large? Right now, 61% of millennials are not buying a home in this current market because they still owe student loan debt. You forgive that debt to those millennials, you have a jump in the housing market by 61% overnight. That's according to the data. That's the revenue, the taxation system, the property tax system that will go directly into K through 12 education in that local jurisdiction, and it permeates beyond that. It's an ecosystem that serves itself if we can wrap our mind around it holistically.
Well, I think just waving the federal government's wand on the tail end and forgiving. I assume you're talking about federal student debt, because you can't forgive private student debt. Maybe with a very narrowly tailored proposal that just targets people who are somehow still living in poverty and have fallen through the cracks despite having some college education or a degree. That's narrowly focused in something perhaps that you could find bipartisan compromise on. I guess what's all of the top plans, whether it's Biden or AOC or Bernie's plans to quote unquote forgive debt, again, just adding it to the federal deficit. There's no such thing as forgiving debt. It just means that the federal government says you don't owe it anymore, which means the taxpayers are gonna have to pay it off. All of these plans, except the ones we're talking about rationally right now and finding common ground on, helping working people who have fallen through the cracks, I think you can find common ground on. But almost all of the Democrats' high profile plans are tailored to help the top quintile, the top 40% of people already earning well above their peers. And it's a tax effectively on working class people who don't have college degrees. That's what I oppose.
It's interesting to me when we talk about conversations like this, we engage in debate, that we start, counting pennies. We're pinching pennies. We're counting the beans, right? Who led the most massive increase of the federal deficit in modern history? Who did that?
Well, I think Joe Biden's about to.
No, sir. Who has done it? Who holds the record right now?
Before the year is out, it will be Biden, but I assume you're going to say Trump.
Donald Trump holds the record, brother. He holds the record by a long way. And he holds the record because nobody brought up these arguments while he was president of the United States. But I do find it quite ironic that when we're talking about, let's say 1.7 trillion, all right? We're talking about big money here, big dollar stuff. We say, that's going to increase the federal deficit. But when we're talking about killing people and blowing things up, that's called war. When we're talking about war, no one ever goes to Congress and says, it would be a great idea to go to war with Iraq or go to war with Iran, but we just don't have it in the budget. For some reason, brother, we always have enough money to kill people and blow things up. We never make the money argument when it comes to war. But we only make the money argument when it comes to domestic policies that would help the same demographic, the same community that has made this country what it is today. And those are working people who don't have a bunch of income, are using loans to invest in their own future to create a revenue stream to give back to the same government that governs. So tell me, man, how are we having an argument about federal deficit increasing when this is actually an investment that would decrease the federal deficit, because now you have more employable individuals based on the data. You have more people paying into the taxation system based on revenue. How is that a loss for the average American?
Well, based on the data that you're providing, again, the data everyone agrees on, college grads and people with college education are already out earning their peers. So first of all, just waving the wand. I mean, I would benefit from Joe Biden's federal deficit, federal loan, waving his wand and saying it's I don't have any debt anymore. Sure, I'll take it, but I should not be benefiting. And I do agree. I mean, I'm very interested in creating economic systems that working people can get ahead in this country, whether it's through trades or through improving the college education, or frankly, through improving the K through 12 education system and providing more choice and more positive forces in the market for K through 12 education. As far as, I think you're kind of making an oversimplification on the paying for money to kill people. I think America, it's good when America is strong. It's good when America is protected. I think a lot of people on the left and the center agree with that. And you want to see the proof in the pudding. Look at what happened in Afghanistan with the Democrats in power. We just pulled right out, and it's been a catastrophe, not just for Afghans, but also for Americans and for America's place in the world. So it's important to invest in our own security. It's not just to drone random people and serve the military industrial complex.
I got you, man. I don't want you to fall for the okie doke, because the vast majority of what they call defense spending does not go to the defense at all. And I know you're smart enough to know that. You're a brilliant person. You know that this has been an industrial issue. The military industrial complex is a connection of private companies who make a whole lot of money, and a small percentage of that money actually goes to the defense of the country. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole with Afghanistan, but let's be clear about Afghanistan. I don't like the way Joe Biden pulled out. I don't like it, okay? I don't like the way we went in either. We went in without a plan. We came out basically without a plan. The real issue at the center of this is, who are we as a nation? We went to war with Afghanistan as if we were going to war with a country. Afghanistan isn't even a united country. It never has been, and it never will be, by the way. We were at war with an ideology, but we went to war with a country. It doesn't make sense. And the ideology, brother, permeated from our own policies. And we failed to address how our policies got us in this mess in the first place. We are still making the same mistakes as a nation, where we think that everybody has to accept our policies and we're not creating enemies based on our policies abroad. And until we start addressing the hypocritical nature of our policies in the United States of America, domestically and abroad, we will continue to co-create terrorists who will attack our interests and this nation. You don't agree?
No, I think you don't create terrorists. Terrorists are poisoned by their own ideology, and showing weakness as the Biden administration has, or as people who make the argument that if we were just nicer and if we just spent less on our own defense, then we wouldn't get attacked. I mean, look at Western Europe; they're being attacked all the time. And if you look at what, investing in strength is important, and just ask. If we could only be in the inside of what the Chinese Politburo meetings are talking about with, how America's defense has been declining, I think a lot of people would say, a strong, robust military is important. But back to the point, I mean, I would be fine with trimming our deficits via reduction in defense spending if it was intelligent. And I certainly support trimming our deficits and not expanding the federal government. And working people are going to be paying for the expansion in federal government that we're witnessing, both under Trump, but even accelerated under Biden for generations to come. And I think just starting in the form of inflation and as far as tax rates are concerned in the next few years.
The evils of terrorism, as evil as terrorism is, it is a mental process. It starts by a mental process. And as long as we continue to have antithetical international policies, they will utilize those antithetical policies as recruitment fodder for their cause. And that is what I would like us to address next time you're on the show. Brother, I appreciate you being on Indisputable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. All right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and be good to the planet. Don't forget to watch The Conversation. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.